Hello, everyone, and welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. For those of you who've been around a while, thank you for coming back. I very much appreciate you being here. Without further ado, let's just dive right into things. So, what are we talking about today? This is episode 5. So, if you have been following along, thank you for joining this journey. We are going to be talking about the ACP-520, that is the Cloud Organization Admin Certification. Just as a brief history of what we've been doing. So this started in January, where we're doing sort of a certification journey type of thing, talking about what you should know. Andrew, thank you for joining in. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. And then covering a bunch of the various certifications. The intention originally when I did this, Joanna, thank you for joining as well. I very much appreciate you being here, as always. The original intention was that after getting through all of this, you could have earned the Atlassian Certified Expert designation. That unfortunately went away in February, but these exams are still worth talking about. Andy, thank you for joining in. Marie, thank you as well. I appreciate all of you being here and helping out with things. So, as much as we aren't going to necessarily cover the journey, these are still things that are worth talking about. Good morning, Jay. And I have actually defined what episode 6 is now. You will have seen that get posted not too long ago, which is all going to be about what you need to know about renewing your certification. So if you have active, or I should say frozen certifications, and they're going to be coming up for renewal soon, you will want to tune in next month where we talk about what that new process is going to look like. Oh, good morning and afternoon to everyone coming in. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. All right, a little bit about me. I am an Atlassian customer. I do not work for Atlassian. I don't work for any of the partners. I'm not paid by them to do these things. I just really love the Atlassian products, and I've kind of fallen in love with helping people do the best they can to pass their certifications, so that's why I'm here. I have been an admin for over 10 years now. I started at a small startup with on-premise tools. I did use a Stash server before it was Bitbucket server. I have done Jira server, Bamboo. I've linked all of those together. I've done a cloud migration. I'm currently at a much larger customer who is all on cloud. So Jira software, I guess now it's just going to be called Jira, Jira Service Management, and Confluence Premium. So I've run the gambit of things. I am an Atlassian Certified Expert. As of right now, I have not checked how many active certifications I hold. It was previously 8. It might actually be more than that now, but I hold a number of them. So I like to think I know a little bit about what I'm talking about here. And then I am Atlassian community leader. You'll find me primarily online in the Welcome Center. I do a roundup of all the great things for you to watch once a month, as well as posts every single Wednesday. And then you'll also find me in things like the training and certification collection, as well as others, helping to answer some questions. I help out with the local events chapters when I can. Kitchener-Waterloo being the one that I am a co-lead on, but I also help out with Toronto and the Canada virtual ones when we do those sort of 3 times a year. That is a little bit about me, but you're really here to talk about the certifications. As a little bit of housekeeping for this, there are a number of Atlassians and community leaders, as well as a few creators in here who I very much appreciate you being here. They will always be very helpful in helping to answer questions that come up in chat. To everyone else who is here to learn, thank you for showing up. These events wouldn't happen without you people being here, so I appreciate you coming out to learn some things. If you find these interesting and helpful, please let me know. We are rounding out the original intention of the commitment around this, but if these are something that people find beneficial, I am more than happy to continue on past June, and we can start into some of the Atlassian Certified Associate exams, and we can do the same types of sessions. I'm going to try and prioritize things that talk about the ACP-520 first, as anyone who misses the live session can always watch the recording, and I'd love for those to be the questions that we get answered. If you've been here before, you know that we always have plenty of time, so we will try and get to every single question. If we don't, please be sure to ask them in the training and certification collection in the online community. If you think of anything after the fact, please go and ask it there. There are tons of people that are more than happy to help you out with those. All right. That one was one slide too soon, so we will just move right on over. If you are familiar with the way I do things, I'm going to just start by telling you that where we're going to be going is to university.atlassian.com. You're going to get to a page that looks very similar to this one, and you're going to click the login button. If you don't already have an account, you're going to be sent to a screen that looks like this for you to log in with your, Murray, thank you. I have 9 active certifications. Thank you. I appreciate that. You'll be sent to a login page like this, where you need to enter your Atlassian ID credentials. That may be your work ID, that may be something you've set up personally, or you can use one of the other things to log in. Once you're logged in, you're going to get to a screen that looks more like this one, which is mine, that one there. So you'll know that you're logged in when you see your little avatar in the top corner. And I just sort of gave away the one thing I wanted to talk about first. Out of Team 24, this I think is the biggest news, the most important one, especially for this group of people here. All on-demand training is now free. So when you ask, hey, is it worth looking at a course as a part of preparing for this exam? The answer is now 100% yes. It is free. Anything you can look at is more than worth looking at to help you prepare. So if you see it on the learning path, and I'll get to that in a second, it's 100% worth reviewing. There's absolutely no downside at this point. You don't have to pay anything. So why wouldn't you bother reviewing it? So to that note, the learning paths. If you click on a learning path, it is going to show you the various ways in which you can get started quickly. All of these are now free training, so there is absolutely no reason not to go and start with that. Valerie's in the house. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate that. We are going to talk about certifications today. So let's go to the Get Certified link. And as you come down to the various types, the associate ones, if people are interested, we will get to those. But we are looking at the professional certifications. And more specifically, we are looking at, and I just noticed this is the one that actually doesn't have its designation here, but the Cloud Organization Admin, which is the ACP-520. And everyone who knows the way that I like to start with these, I recommend going to the exam details and the exam topic list first. This is going to tell you the things that you'll want to know about this exam. So when it first came out, I believe it was $100. It's now at the regular price. So if you weren't able to get in there early, I'm sorry you missed out on that preferred price. You can see that you have 3 hours. A passing score is a 62%, and there will be up to 65 questions on the exam. When we look at our exam topics, you can see the breakdown of the categories that are going to be covered and their weights. And if we actually take a quick look at the exam topics, this is by far one of the better breakouts of this is what's going to be covered, and these are the things that you want to look at to prepare for this. The only thing that would have made this one a little bit better is if these were actually hyperlinks that I could click on to go to the documentation. As such, I put this one together shortly after this came out, and I took it myself. I've done that for you. So I'm going to throw this in the chat. If you want to check out this specific link, this article, I do have a video. It just covers the same sort of things that we're doing here. But the more important piece is that if you want to get to the documentation links, I've provided all of those for you. So that's an easy way to get to those. I still recommend using this as sort of your guide on the what's going to be covered and where to look. But that's sort of a helpful sort of how to get to the documentation. As you can see, the Atlassian organizations themselves are almost 50% of the exams. So if you look at these topics and say, I'm a little bit iffy on these things, that's probably where you're going to want to spend most of your time, since it's going to make up the bulk of the questions. Users and groups, 25 to 35%. I mean, right there, you can see those first two categories. That is the bulk of your exam with a passing score of 62. If you can ace both of those, you're probably going to, pass the exam on those two alone. The last two, the admin roles and the advanced features, covering up the remaining bit. I would say definitely worth a time investment in understanding them. But, as far as where your importance is, it's definitely here at this organization and understanding how to create and manage the organization, the sites and the products, as well as access to them. So, what else is worth noting? Right, the other thing that is worth talking about, I'm going to go back over to our other view here. If you are familiar with Alex Ortiz from Ape Tech Tutorials, he and King Bob put together a live stream over multiple weeks of them preparing for this. So if you want, I think this is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 12 hours of them going into a deep dive of how to prepare for this thing. I highly recommend this playlist. It will be them talking about how they prepared for it. I will throw that one in the chat as well. It's one of those things where this was the first exam that Alex attempted and he passed it. So I would say he probably has what you will want as far as, your best chance at preparing for this. I think the 520 is one of the harder exams. And I think that's only because it's one of those exams that you don't necessarily deal with those on a regular basis, much like some of the other things. When project administrators, you're going to be doing a lot of configuration as people make request changes. But some of the things that are coming up in the organization as a whole, you probably set them once or twice and then you never touch them again. And I think that's what made it harder, is just the muscle memory of remembering all the things that are going on there. The other thing, and this is just a personal note, I know a number of people have agreed with me on this. The terminology is very close together in the organization one. And this is not a slight by any means. It's just you need to be very careful on making sure that you match the terminology that you are using with the actual feature in this exam. So as an example, an API token talks about what a user will provision for their access within a product, which is not the same thing as an API key that an organization administrator will provision in order to use the APIs that affect the users and groups in the organization level. Those are two things that are completely different, but they're terminology that we will use interchangeably in the way that we talk to people. And in my opinion, that is one thing that you want to be very careful on, is knowing the difference between those two things and remembering that they are not the same thing as it talks about. Another example is verified, approved. Yes, the verified domain, approved domain, and email domain. Things that are very close in terminology, but have very different meanings. And you'll want to make sure that you know those definitions inside and out, and that you make sure when you are looking at a question and it mentions that word, that you have the right definition, because you can get led down the wrong path if you forget what your specific terms and definitions mean. Invited, yes, user invites and invited user. These are great things. Thank you, Joanna and Marie, for pulling those out. That, I think, is why I found this one more challenging, is there's a lot of very specific language that maps to terminology versus some of the other ones where a project is a project and everyone has used a project many, many times over and knows what a project is. Sorry for jumping in, writing this so I don't forget. As I see some people from the certification team here, are there plans of adding questions about the new functionalities from Guard Premium? I am not going to answer. You know what? No, I will answer. Joanna and Marie can add their own thoughts on that one. But what I have seen as far as what questions are there, the exam topics, and let's just switch back over to the other view here for a second. So the exam topics that talk about access, or what was previously access and is now guard, they don't really go into the details on the how to do it. It's very sort of simplistic requests as it relates to understanding the what it is, how to manage your bill, and how to discover projects that you administer. It's not really, really detailed on the functionality of those. I'm sure Joanna or Marie or possibly even Andrew can comment on whether there are plans to do a more thorough deep dive in those. Jimmy gave a good answer. No plan to add guard premium at the moment. Perfect. Okay. Yep. We may create an ACA exam for guard. Marie, thank you. I would appreciate that one. I think it's one of those that people, set and forget. And it'd be great if there was something that had people do a little bit more muscle memory to remember how to do it, so that all the questions that get asked in the online community about it, there's more experts out there to help answer those. But to answer that question, yes, it just barely covers the fact that it exists and that you know what it is. The fact that it's called access in here, it's now guard. It's the standard features and just understanding that it exists and, the how to get to there. Perfect. So other things that are going to be covered in here. Guard would be ACE, since the combination of access and beacon are coming together. I agree. You know what? We're going to tangent for a second. I am very excited about the fact that guard is getting the combination of beacon. I think it's going to make it a lot easier for people to realize the importance of the threat detection pieces of there, coming from a cybersecurity background and company. I think it's one of those important things that sometimes gets overlooked. So, as far as the what else you should do to prepare for this exam, so we have talked about the fact that I have an article out there. You know what? I'm just going to pin these just so that people can get to those links a little bit easier. Or maybe I'll pin them. I'll see what happens. Maybe I won't. Let's try and make that a little bit larger. See if I can. Okay. It's not going to let me pin them. That's fine. I will just put them in the description of this live learning video once it goes live. And then people can always get them there. So we have this article I have written here, which will get you documentation links. I think the links are the important piece. You don't really care about the fact that I've got a video there, because this is covering this. I highly recommend the Ape Tech tutorials playlist on preparing for this. It's 12 hours of two very experienced people talking about how to prepare for this. They're going through it section by section, as you can see just in some of the names of what they're covering. I think that's going to be your best walkthrough of how to get prepared for this. The other thing that you absolutely will want to be sure to take a look at is Atlassian's own how to prepare for this. I believe that there is something here, course-wise, where there should be. There it is. Let's go to the learning path for it. Okay, so within our learning path, you are going to have the course overview itself, as well as the organization admin glossary. What I was talking about with the terminology being an important one. This right here, spend the majority of your time here. Learn the terms, and that will really save you on like 90% of things, is make sure you know that inside and out. The access administration, there is a small course on this. It's worth taking a look. It will give you if you haven't used access before, or I guess now guard, it will give you the one-time overview of everything that you need to know about what it is, enough to be able to get through the exam. The Atlassian Cloud Organization Administration, I think this is the preparation course. This is one of my favorites. It was in the new line of things that the university or I guess the learning and certification team put out. And it does a much better job of teaching you in a good way, as well as giving you some other tools to help prepare for things. There is a Trello board template, I believe, with this one, which gives you sort of a good way of how to outline, you know, managing your time to prepare for this. I have done a lot of talking for a bit, so I'm going to say that is the bare bones of what I would recommend for how you can prepare for this. If people have questions about this one in particular, please start asking questions about this one. I am more than happy to answer what I can. We have other people here, including two amazing members from the Atlassian certification team who are happy to help answer some of these questions. So if you have questions, put them into chat. Otherwise, I'm going to just start, talking about some of the other things as a reminder that we can talk about. Are there any practice questions for this exam and others? I am pretty confident that this is one of the first ones, and we're just going to bring that up here, that they interlaced the questions into the entire course. So this is the course itself. And I believe that if I went to, say, the cloud administrator here, there are some sample questions as we go along. Joanna Marie, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I could have sworn that this one had them interlaced into things. Yes, correct. Sample questions are within the course. So if I just take a quick look down here, we're going to go through exploring the admin hub. And then we're going to get a few questions on testing your knowledge. And then as we go through each of these, we're going to get some lesson. And then I think these are flashcards. Yes, these are flashcards about some of the various terms. And then you're going to get more of the... There we are. Yeah. So you're going to get a bunch of knowledge checks as you go along throughout these. I don't know if that's sort of what you were looking for as far as the practice questions. And then, as always, if I, how many times can you update your site URL? If I say never, knowing that it's the wrong answer, it's going to tell you the why that's wrong. I was hoping that this was actually going to tell us the why the right one was right. Guess it doesn't. Joanna, is that something I've missed? There are sample questions within the course and exam hints. I was really hoping that some of these questions were actually going to have the why the answer was wrong. Am I missing that section there? So we're in the process of merging the on-demand course and the cert prep course. Okay, that's perfect. Do you have any exam-related resources on your YouTube or other social media channels? I have, as I pointed out in this guy, there is this video I put together that is on my channel about the how to prepare for this exam, which is kind of very similar to this one here. The only other thing I have, which might be worth calling out, is, let's get back to the actual channel. So at the bottom here, these live learning, I'm putting them in a playlist. This one will be added. Actually, I think it's already in the playlist. The piece that you might want to also take a look at is going back to the what you should know for scheduling your exam. That one is important just from the how you get ready for either going to a testing center or how you prepare for doing it online at your house. I think the best prep is taking the 75 questions 3-hour test exam. I'm not familiar with that test exam. Are you able to elaborate on that a little bit? We took the prep course a few times on this one. I only went through it at a high level and failed. This is when I first wrote it. Sorry that you failed that one, Aaron. This was not an easy exam. Study hard. I agree with Aaron's sentiments there. This is not an easy exam, so I would highly recommend studying fairly well for this one. The one thing that I generally recommend is, if you can, and I know that not everyone is able to, I generally try and schedule my exams 2 weeks in advance of when I'm going to take it, and then plan on about 2 to 3 hours every single night, covering various topics of things that I need to study for. I would say that the playlist that Alex and Bob have is a great one to sort of look through. You know, you've got about an hour. Some of them are a little bit longer than that, but about an hour. Make sure to sort of go through that, and then, you know, do some on your own at the same time. It was for the ACP-520. I took the exam before studying, found out the 620. I don't know. I don't remember. Do you want to, Marie, maybe you can remind me, did the 620 have a set of sample questions? Because I vaguely remember back in the sort of certification accelerator program, there was like a whole series of questions made available. I found that connecting with others from the Atlassian community to form a study group and share resources is super helpful. I 100% agree with that statement. The training and certification collection. So if we go back here, this place right here, in the online community, I make reference to it a lot. I'll just throw this one in the chat. It'll also be at the end of the video here. This is a great place to ask people for help if you want to set something up. Yes, they provided tests. Okay. Thank you. So Joanna and Marie can keep me honest on this, but I don't believe there is a same level of series of sample questions for the ACP-520 as there is for the 620 when it was launched, re-released, something along those lines. But yes, the training and certification collection, I would say if you are interested in trying to find a group here, this is a great place to come and, you know, start a discussion on whatever exam it is that you are looking to see if there are people who want to coordinate together. And, you know, start from there. If you want, you know, set up a, when you're planning on doing it, see if there are people who want to study along with you, then maybe you know, create a free Slack instance so that you can collaborate together in there, or whatever works best for you. Maybe it's a scheduling Zoom calls that will happen, you know, every Thursday at whatever time locally, where everyone can get together. Oh, actually, there is, let's see if I can find it here. We're going to do this one live. There is, not for the ACP-520 specifically, but there is a group that does meet for the 120 and the 620s on a somewhat regular basis. Let's see if we can find them here. Live learning is going to, unfortunately, not be my friend today. There is a group. When I find it, I will definitely add it here. I will definitely post it out on X, Twitter, whatever it is, to mention it, because I know that there's a group that does sort of group study sessions. All right, does anyone have any other questions as it relates to the ACP-520? I mean, we've talked about the fact that this is, I think it's one of the harder ones that they have. Not to say that that's a bad thing. I just think it's one of those things where, because we don't touch it as often, it ends up being a little bit more challenging to prepare for and to get all of that information front and center of mind. But it's definitely a good one to have. And it's one of those things where, as of the former rules, I don't know what the new rules for the certified expert are going to be, but it's definitely going to be probably a beneficial one to have in your hat if you don't already. Jimmy, you may have been in the regular course and not the org admin prep course. The prep course has the sample questions. Okay. So I may have been in the regular course. I don't know if I can show. Can I do this? Will this work? Let's retake it since apparently I already took it. How do I get in here? It says my path is complete. Let's. Okay. Need to drop. Marie, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. So from Joanna, and I'm just going to say Joanna is always accurate in everything that she says. So within this prep course, which is from the exam page itself. So if you are on the certification page, you go to the certification prep course. I can't seem to get back in it because I've already completed it. But this one here will have your the additional sort of sample questions that you were mentioning. Joanna also needs to drop. Thank you, Joanna. I very much appreciate you being here and sharing some of these things. Yes. Maybe we can just get in here. Can I just jump in randomly? Review. Oh, I might have made it. Let's see what we can do. Review. Perfect. Okay. So let's take a look here. Let's go into exam details, looking at the technicals of the exam. So this is one of the first times that they actually gave a bit more information. Click into getting started. Okay, let's see what we got here. So this one, I think, did a better job of showing you the things that you need to know about the exam. This is actually really helpful. Is there a certification path for Jira Align? I am not aware of anything for Jira Align, and unfortunately, we lost both Marie and Joanna. I don't know that they have anything up till now planned for Jira Align. So this is going to show you the what is in scope, what is out of scope, and this is a perfect example of the what do you need to know about access. You don't need to know anything about the actual connection pieces, and you don't need to know anything about, and I'm going to put an asterisk on this. You don't need to know anything about the other specific products. You will need to know about some of the permission roles that exist within those products so that you know the difference between a project administrator within Jira and a full Jira administrator as it relates to being a permission group compared to your product access. The same would go for a Confluence administrator versus a space administrator, knowing the difference between those two things as they relate to your Confluence access at the organization level. So sandbox practice. This, I believe, is telling you how to get a sandbox for you to test on these things. Not the what we were wanting to do. Maybe. I will say this much. It's probably worth diving into a little bit more. If Joanna says that there are some sample questions in here, I trust her that there are sample questions in here somewhere. Okay. So, will this recording be available to review later? Absolutely, it will. This is actually happening on YouTube Live, so you can always come to my channel here, where that one there will be available. As far as the Bevy event, I will also be posting it there so that if you go to the event page for this, do I still have that up? Yeah, this guy here. If you come here after this session ends, you'll see a nice embedded box here that will have the this video essentially there that you can review it afterwards. You'll need a sandbox to practice while going through. It'll be super helpful to walk through. Aaron, that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I think if you can, spinning up your own free cloud organization, you don't need anything more than a free organization to start looking at some of these things. Is something you can do zero cost. They will cover some of the advanced premium features, such as release tracks and sandboxes. I would say when you are ready to prepare, you can always get yourself onto a 30-day trial of premium for free. Do your studying on the various advanced features, like release tracks and sandboxes, and just make sure that you are familiar with those things as it relates to the cloud organization. And then just, put yourself back down to free before the end of that trial. And then you didn't have to pay for anything. And let's say you didn't actually get around to doing it while you were preparing, well, then just create another cloud site and do another trial. But, none of the Atlassians are here to hear me say that you should just keep doing free cloud trials to get your studying in. Great. So, does anyone have any other questions? If not, we can always end a few minutes early. As a reminder, the training is now 100%, the on-demand training, so the at your own pace training on their website is now 100% free. So going through any of the courses they have that relate to your cloud organization, 100% worth doing. I will give 2 more minutes. If there are no other questions, I am happy for us to end early. Give me all the free training. University.atlassian.com, all the free training you want. I guess as a reminder, so the next session of this will be on June 10th. That is a Monday at 12 Eastern time, Eastern Daylight Time, North America. That's just the time zone I'm at. Works well for me to do these over my lunch hour. We will be talking about the not yet released, but will be released by that time. Everything that Atlassian is going to have put out about how you renew your certifications. So if you have some frozen ones that are going to expire soon, or you're just wondering about, once I earn a certification, how do I renew those? We're going to be going through the announcement that is yet to come out, as well as the everything you need to know about how you're going to renew those certifications. So if that is something you are interested in, you definitely will want to tune in next month for that. And I'm not seeing any more things showing up. So if everyone is good and ready to start studying for the 520, as always, you can always make sure to go to the community, the online community, the Training and Certification Center. The Training and Certification collection within the online community. If you think of anything after this ends, please feel free to ask your questions there. There are plenty of people who are more than happy to help you. Be sure to check out Alex's playlist. I want to ask what your thought is on the hardest part of this exam. I thought it was the permissions and licensing part. I think it was the wording of the questions on the exam. What are your thoughts? That is a great question. Hardest part of the exam. For me, I think the hardest part was actually more along the admin roles. Basically, it was the things, the hardest parts for me are always the things that I don't touch often. I think managing access requests. I think that was probably the part I had the hardest on. just because I don't touch that part as much. Our IT team is more responsible for that. And I think I learned a lot of things out of this section of just how you can automatically set up things, what default groups are. I didn't even know that default groups was a thing, so that when you assign someone a license, when you provision someone a license, they can automatically be added to certain groups by default. There will always be one default users group, or there will always be one default group that must be defined. And then beyond that, you can choose additional groups to have people automatically added to. I think that was probably the one that I learned the most in, because I just don't touch it as often. So yes, my thoughts on that. Okay. With that, thank you everyone who has showed up, asked questions, been here. I really appreciate you showing up. I will see you again in a month's time when we talk about renewing your certifications. That will be episode 6. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I thought that another part was hard. I do these things every day, and to me, it was the wording of the questions. So, Aaron, you are not wrong. As I think I called that out earlier, and you were one of the ones to chime in there as well. The terminology is something you really want to make sure that you are very aware of. You have 3 hours. Please take the time to read the questions. You have more than enough time to finish the exam. When I wrote this one, I'm pretty sure I was concerned that I had only spent an hour and a half in there. But, I ended up passing the exam myself. It was definitely not a cakewalk, but I only needed half the time to answer all the questions. So you don't need to be concerned that you're going to run out of time. You have plenty of time to answer the questions. So just read through them carefully. Flag anything that makes you think for a second and you're not sure. Yes. Tips for writing exams. With that, thank you very much, everyone. And I will see you next month. Have a good rest of the day.